In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 4. Let's go, baby. Yeah. There was a time I had trouble talking about it. Congratulate them, we know they doubted. Somehow we made it up out the pit, back against the wall. Never quit, traversing through each obstacle. Show a non-believer what's possible. Let nothing they could do stand in between me and my wildest dreams. Let's go. And that come at us could come in between. Life gave me the worst, yet my side grew so green. We've been down in the dirt, been tossed in the trash, but I never strayed from my path. When we're gone, we ain't looking back.
Maybe we were all way too high. Maybe that's our fault.
It's going to be a crazy time, but it's going to be a fun time.
Life is boring if you don't take some chances and do some things outside of the box.
Your destination for both some feel-good lifestyle advice and some fantasy football advice. All right. It is Feel Good Friday, November 11th. Happy Veterans Day, the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast. Back with you honoring all those who served and continue to serve. Today, we are getting you locked and loaded for week number 10 of the NFL season. I am Seth Woolcock, joined by media mogul and a man who is still probably holding on to his Laviska Shenault shares, the tight end collector, Nate Polvote. Nate, how are you today, my friend? It is a beautiful Veterans Day here in State College.
Did you see what Laviska Shenault did last night?
I did. I knew there was some Nate shares out there smiling.
I didn't start him this week, but I might be starting him moving forward if they're going to continue to use him in this offense. And I literally jumped off the couch and screamed with joy when he scored that touchdown. So I'm doing great.
Okay. Well, vibes are high for Nate. We're glad to hear that. We can talk a little bit more about Laviska and while I'm still a doubter here a little bit later in the show. But Nate, today we are absolutely loaded today. We have a great slate of guests coming on. Why don't you tell the people what we have after our Thursday night football recap, which we'll do right here in just a couple minutes.
So we have In Between Media Family's own Trash Sandwiches coming on today to do some start sit, talk about some matchups, answer your questions. And then at 2:10, we have the one and only fantasy footballer's gem of a human being, Jeff Greenwood, one of my favorite people out there. I'm excited. It's going to be a great show today.
Awesome. I am absolutely excited as well. If you guys are new to the In Between family, welcome in. We appreciate you making us a part of your Friday. We are your spot for some feel-good lifestyle advice and some fantasy sports advice. It looks like we have some of the IBT family members already back in the chat. We got Scott screaming Visca from top of the roof. We got our guy Toronto Dave back in the chat saying, he said, I'm riding Nate's high. Good to see you, Toronto Dave. Appreciate you making a part of your Friday. And then Lucius back in the chat as well. Good morning to you, Lucius. Hope you're having a great feel-good Friday as well. Nate, let's go ahead and let's jump into the Thursday Night Football breakdown. Just a final reminder to anyone who isn't subscribed to the channel, continue to help us grow here. The faster we grow, the more eyeballs we continue to get on our content, the more content we can bring you guys. So that's always the goal, to bring you more and better content as we grow here at In Between Media. Nate, and we saw Hurricane Nicole last night. She made her first appearance on a wet night in Carolina. The Panthers 25-15 over the Falcons. Not what I think a lot of bettors were expecting last night. It was a relatively clean turnover game despite these two lackluster teams and the weather as well. Mariota had some questionable throws, made a really athletic throw, chucked it 30 yards downfield as he was going down. Kind of a crazy play there. But the Panthers, man, they dominated this one, Nate. And I think it started on the ground. They converted more third downs, and they just dominated the time of possession over 34 minutes for the Carolina Panthers.
Well, they're leaning into the run game. They didn't ask PJ Walker to do much. He only threw the ball 16 times, but he completed 10 of his 16 in horrible weather. This Panthers team, I think, is finding their identity. They're a short pass, kind of like gadget plays, and run the ball. It's what they are doing well, and they're winning games doing it.
And they're doing it on the back of none other than D'Onta Foreman. 31 rushing attempts for him again, 130 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Looks like Chuba Hubbard kind of lost his job when he was injured. We even saw some Raheem Blackshear, who kind of looked nice at times. He looked better than Hubbard. But overall, man, Foreman is an absolute stud. And we can't forget, this guy was voted the number one running back in college football not that long ago. He was a very high touted prospect before he tore his Achilles with the Texans. So Nate, with all this being said, we've seen some good games from Foreman. Last week was pretty subpar because they were so far behind from the Bengals. Where do you rank D'Onta Foreman rest of season? Because right now he's looking like, I don't want to get too crazy in the moment here, but maybe a borderline RB1.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because that's exactly what he is. If he's going to get 20 to 30 carries a game, he's going to break the 100-yard threshold more often than not. And he's going to score touchdowns because he is their red zone running back. He's their goal line guy. They're not going to go to Chuba because, like you said, he's essentially lost his job being hurt because Foreman has been so efficient.
Right.
And Raheem Blackshear's nice and all, and he might be a passing option in the red zone, but when they run the ball, which they're going to do most often, it's going to be Foreman. I think he could be a sneaky, like, top 8 running back if this keeps up rest of season with what we've seen with injuries and Jonathan Taylor being so inefficient.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have Toronto Dave in the chat saying Foreman is the Foreman of the Carolina RB room. Absolutely. If you got him off waivers a couple weeks ago, or you've been stashing him throughout the season, like I've been seeing some teams, congratulations. It paid off for you. I'm seeing some questions come in, guys. Keep the questions coming. Just in about 6 to 7 minutes, we're going to get to those with our special guest trash sandwiches. So keep those coming. We will get to those as soon as we get over to matchup management there. Nate, I do want to talk about the Carolina passing game, though. PJ Walker, 10 for 16 and 108. Obviously, the conditions, the game plan did not go in his favor here. And it really kind of hurt these receiving options. If you had any, Terrace Marshall, 1 for 43. We're seeing some life out of him, but he's still more of a stash candidate, honestly. And then DJ Moore, 4 for 29. It's going to be an up and down ride with DJ Moore, especially because they have found their identity now more on the ground. So I think at the end of the day, like, these are plug and play guys when you have to, but otherwise, like, they're not weekly starters.
Well, again, with PJ Walker, this is going to be a run first team. So it's hard to trust that there's going to be volume. You're looking for a boom play from one of these guys for them to be a fantasy viable, and they've got to score because they're just not going to have enough. The yards and the catches aren't going to be there.
Yeah, and the Panthers need to be in negative game script, which right now they've been in more positive game script, which has kind of been surprising with no CMC and Robbie Anderson and the whole coaching debacle there. But if they can get in more negative game scripts against some of these more stacked teams, maybe that's when you can fire up DJ Moore or Terrace Marshall Jr. as well. Nate, let's talk about the Falcons, however. Marcus Mariota, despite everything, a pretty respectable game for him. 17.7 fantasy points on the night, 19 for 30, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he was 3 for 43 on the ground, kind of looked like OG Marcus Mariota. But at the end of the day, Nate, he kind of looks uncomfortable back there at times, and he's hampering these receiving options. Kyle Pitts, another dud of a game. Is there a moment we're going to see Desmond Ridder this season, or do you think as long as the Falcons stay within the hunt of their division, Marcus Mariota is the guy?
Well, given that it's Arthur Smith, if they're in the hunt for the division, I think it's going to be Mariota.
Yeah.
This morning we were watching the recap on NFL Network as we're doing our writing and editing and stuff. And Jen looks at me and says, when do we get to see Desmond Ridder? I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. I really do, but I don't think it will be. As long as they're winning, Mariota's been efficient enough.
Yep. I agree. And the people who are going to suffer is Kyle Pitts, another dud game, 2 for 28. He did get 8 targets, but this is 6 out of his 9 games this season, guys, with lower than 5 PPR points. I mean, he's a tight end, and you are probably still starting him at times because he does have some boom. But these are the games you can somewhat expect with Kyle Pitts just because of the low volume here. Drake London, Nate, right after he said he was droppable, had a better game, but still only 5 catches for 38 yards. He did get in the end zone, which was nice to see for the first time in a while. But still, these guys aren't weekly starters either. You can start them, but it's not a sexy start anymore.
Well, Mariota just isn't pushing the ball down the field. So we're not getting these big, deep passing attempts as often
100%. As
you would get with another quarterback. 23 attempts, 12 completions, 129 yards against the Chargers in week 9, 253 yards, but he had to throw the ball 28 times to get to 250 yards. We're not going to get these big chunk plays out of these receivers. And God, Kyle Pitts, like 8 targets, but only 2 catches. And every attempt just looked like Mariota didn't know what he was doing when he was throwing towards Pitts.
You would just think that if I was Marcus Mariota and I got that job when I did, I would have been calling Kyle Pitts up that day and working on the rhythm because they just don't seem in sync a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We saw that big overthrow from Marcus Mariota the last couple of weeks. I think it was this last week, right over Kyle Pitts' head, and that was disappointing. So I think they just need to get some chemistry together, but it's kind of a mess here, honestly, if you're trying to play any Falcons, because even after a great game from Cordell Patterson in his first game back on Sunday, and it was 2 games in 4 days, so I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but it was only 5 for 18 and 1 reception for 2 yards for Patterson. So a really bad performance on Thursday night. Might have put some people in some holes. Caleb Huntley looked nice at times, went 5 for 32. But we even saw Avery Williams, who I got to give our guy Dave Stewart, Dave Fantasy, a shout out. He highlighted Avery Williams before the season, said, hey, this guy's a converted corner, and he might make a little noise in the run game. And he has. He went 4 for 25 yesterday. Of course, Tyler Algier, he was also involved, the talented rookie, 8 for 20, added a couple of receptions, but negative 17 yards on 3 receptions. So kind of a mess of a game here, Nate, but I think overall, Patterson, he will be fine in the long term. He gets some extra rest here, but it's still just not a sexy backfield either.
Well, Arthur Smith clearly has never played fantasy football. You can tell the way he runs these games. He doesn't care. They're going to keep doing what has gotten them to win, and that's apparently going to be using 4 different running backs over a game. There isn't anybody reliable in that backfield other than Patterson to start, and everything else is just kind of scary, because you don't know what you're going to get, but they keep winning. So good for Falcons fans. Shout out Griff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nate, we'll close the book here on Thursday Night Football. It was a better game than we've seen as of late on the ground, but it was kind of sloppy. But overall, I think we learned some lessons about the Panthers and about the Falcons that we'll continue to take away. D'Onta Foreman's a stud. The Falcons offense, it's going to be sketchy the rest of the way. You gotta put them in and pray, honestly. Hope you've built up some good juju so far this season with those fantasy gods. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into some matchup management here and answer those questions.
Who you got?
Matchup management.
Who's it gonna be?
Who's it going to be? We are going to tell you right now. And to do that, we're going to bring in someone very special, a great friend of the show, a member of the IBT staff and family, the soon-to-be world-renowned crafter, someone who is an absolute bomb of a time at karaoke night, tears it up, the clever, the ever-cunning Trash Sandwiches. What's up, TS?
Hello. Thanks for having me on. What an intro. Wow. I feel famous.
Seth is the king of the intros. He makes everyone who comes on feel special.
It's true. Hey, I feel very special. Thank you.
I don't need to hype you guys up. You guys do that yourself. TS, how's it hanging up there in Vermont? How's the weather today? How are the overall Friday vibes?
It's good. The weather is actually pretty warm lately. It does not feel like mid-November, which is cool. It also does not make me feel like we have a great winter coming, which is like a little sad, but you know, what can you do?
Yes, absolutely. That's the life we live here. TS, how are the fantasy teams doing so far? Are you feeling good about week number 10? Double-digit weeks, they're always fun, but always wildly unpredictable.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good. I don't know. I've had some teams. I had one team that I was like, I got to go rebuild, and I'm like 3rd in the league right now. And I have one that I thought I'd be a contender, and I think I'm 9th out of 10.
There we go.
Gotta love this fickle sport, but having a good time anyways.
Well, we're glad to hear that. We do have some questions coming in for us. So, guys, keep the questions coming. Us and TS, we will do our best to answer these for you. We got our first one from Keg Carr. Awesome name. I don't know if that's an abbreviation for name, if that's a full name. If your first name is Keg, that is badass. I hope you like to drink some beer. He says, I have Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, ETN, Justin Jefferson, Pittman, Kenneth Gainwell. I'm 5-4, 1 game back from playoffs. Got offered Mahomes, Kenneth, ETN for Herbert, CMC, Amari Cooper, and Waddle. Okay, so we got to break this down a little bit more for the audio listeners. He got offered Mahomes, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne for Herbert, CMC, Amari Cooper, and Waddle. What were you going to ask, TS?
No, I thought you said Kenneth Gainwell, and I think it's Kenneth Walker.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm guessing it's Kenneth Walker. Correct us if we're wrong.
I think you are right. So basically, he has two RB1s here in Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. He has Mahomes, a clear-cut QB1. And then Herbert, he would be getting back CMC, Amari Cooper, and Waddle. I mean, I think this is a fair trade, but I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Like, I think the one side might be getting more depth here, but I do like Kenneth Walker and Travis Etienne a lot right now, TS. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think there's more depth, I'd say, on the Herbert side, which is cool. In my mind, it honestly does come down to the quarterback situation and what your confidence level is in Herbert, kind of turning it around, because he hasn't been outstanding this season like we kind of expected or hoped, or at least I did. I'd still probably lean that side, though, just because I think getting a little bit more depth at wide receiver here would be cool. I guess you don't really need it with Justin Jefferson and Pittman, but I'd probably lean Herbert, but I can see a case for both sides.
Okay. Nate, how are you feeling about this, honestly, overall stack trade here for Keg?
So I'm taking the Herbert side. I think he should accept this trade. Now, the trade-off with Mahomes and Herbert, I don't love.
Certainly.
But also, as the season goes on, I think what's going on with Herbert is those ribs, because that's a long, slow recovery process. But he's going to get to the point where he's going to be healthy over the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. But then you look at it this way. You're swapping CMC for Kenneth Walker, and then you're getting Amari Cooper and Waddle for Travis Etienne. Any way you shake that out, that is better for your team. And I have questions about Pittman. What's going to happen with Jeff Saturday, Sam Ellinger?
Nice.
Are we going to see if we see Matt Ryan again, I might feel a little bit differently about him, but you're not giving him up. So I really like this trade.
Okay. I like that analysis there, Nate. Keg, we appreciate the question, man. Hope you're subscribed to the channel and come back and hang out with us again, or ask us more questions today, because we still got a lot of time for that as well. Here we have Big Trev. What's up, Big Trev? Broncos or Saints D this week, y'all. Nate, how are we feeling about your Denver Broncos, my friend? Tennessee Titans. I'm not sure if it's Malik Willis or Ryan Tannehill will be back.
Tannehill.
Is it
It's
Tannehill?
They're saying
Okay.
it's Tannehill, yeah.
Okay, so how are you feeling about Tannehill back in action against your Denver Broncos?
I'm still taking the Broncos defense. Tannehill hasn't been good necessarily. He's been okay. The only thing that worries me in this offense is Derrick Henry, but Denver's done a pretty good job of shutting down opposing running backs outside of Josh Jacobs and Travis Etienne. And even if Henry does have a game against them, that's all they're going to get is the run game. Patrick Surtain's been shutting everyone down.
TS, how do you feel about this? Because the Saints have a really nice matchup as well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, the Steelers are coming off a bye week, first bye week with Kenny Pickett. Are you expecting the Steelers to come out with a little more juice and give the Saints defense trouble? Or are you okay with rolling them out over Denver?
I think, yeah, the Steelers are going to have a little bit more juice going into this. I think I would go Denver as well. I think, Nate, you brought up a great point. Like, the only thing that the Titans kind of have going for them is Henry, and other than Derrick Henry, which they can shut him down, that's all you're getting.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys' analysis on that. We have another one here from Big Trev. He is saying Singletary, Gallup, Tony, with the news of Hardman being out. Nate, you were really high on McCole Hardman this week. How are you feeling about these three options here? I'll be honest. I love Michael Gallup. He's my wide receiver star of the week here with Big Mike heading back to Green Bay. Are you confident in Gallup, Tony here with no Hardman, or are you going to roll out with Devin Singletary, who's reliable, but the ceiling's just not there?
So we don't know for sure that Hardman's out. It sounds like he probably is going to be. It doesn't get me that excited about Kadarius Toney, because we haven't seen anything from him yet. He had 2 targets last week. I like Michael Gallup. I think Gallup's going to be solid. I think he's solid rest of season.
Okay. TS, how do you feel about this? Michael Gallup, he's been up and down. He had a donut not too long ago. However, Dallas does have a bye coming into this, and he is playing the Packers, who we just saw Rashawn Gary go down with a torn ACL. Eric Stokes has just been rolled out for the rest of the season as well. And Jair Alexander, Joe Barry is not having him shadow anyone. So this is not a good Packers defense anymore. Are you risking it with Gallup for that little bit of upside, or are you playing it safe with Singletary?
I think Gallup has so much more upside. I think Singletary doesn't even have necessarily that safe of a floor right now. I mean, maybe the Bills are going to lean on the run game a little bit more with Josh Allen and, his questionable health, but I still think Gallup, if you want upside, Gallup.
Okay. I think we are consensusly on Gallup here at Big Trev. Appreciate you making us part of your Friday. Hope you come back, subscribe to the channel, and come hang out with us again. Here we have George Cook. What's up, George? Hope you're having a great feel-good Friday. Vikings defense if Allen sits, or Cardinals defense against the Rams? I think it's got to be the Cardinals defense, guys. I don't have a lot of faith in the Rams defense in general. I do not know if Matthew Stafford's going to go in this one either. John Wolford, he's been talented. However, he hasn't thrown a pass. He's thrown 4 attempts in the past year and a half, in addition to only ever starting 1 game in the regular season. He started that one postseason game, had 6 attempts, got hurt, was pulled for Jared Goff. TS, how do you feel about this here from George?
I'd go Cardinals regardless. I mean, both of these have quarterback questions associated with them, but I think I'd go Cardinals regardless because the Rams this season have been not doing much, and I think Cardinals can totally shut them down.
Okay. Nate, are you riding with the Cardinals as well?
If Allen sits, I'm going Vikings defense. Here's why. The Cardinals haven't been able to shut anyone down. Their defense is absolutely awful. But if Josh Allen is in,
it's not that bad, man. It's not that bad. It's been getting better.
I just feel this is a division game, and I'm always weird about starting anything in a division game defensively because those games can get out of hand. But if Josh Allen plays, I can't start the Vikings defense. Then I would go Cardinals.
It's interesting you say that because I actually like kind of target divisional games a little bit for my defenses just because I feel like they're a little more familiar. Sometimes they're a little lower scoring, but I understand the concern there. I'm going to make it a 2-1 and go with Cardinals here with TS. But I understand the analysis there, Nate. And here we have Toronto Dave coming in. He says, I need help because my team sucks. So I got a couple start-sit questions. Well, we're the people to help you out, Toronto Dave. What do you have for us here first? Khalil Herbert or Devin Singletary? Man, this one is tough. TS, how do you feel about Khalil Herbert or Devin Singletary? We just talked about him. Maybe Josh Allen's out. Does that mean a little bit more work for Devin Singletary if that's the case?
I still think Herbert, though. I think they have a good matchup against Detroit. And yes. I think Herbert has the potential to have maybe not a monster game, but a pretty darn good game. And I don't see that upside with Singletary.
Okay. Nate, are you also on the Khalil Herbert train? I know you've been in love with this guy for a very long time, so I wouldn't be surprised if so.
I am. I think Singletary is going to suffer because of James Cook and because of Nyheim Hines being into his second week with the team. But this is a good week, and I don't like starting Khalil Herbert a lot, but this is a week. If these are your 2 options, I'm definitely going Herbert. Unless you're playing me, Dave, then definitely Singletary.
Okay. Then we have another question that this one's very interesting because I actually had to ask myself this in a Dynasty League this week. PPR, Mac Hollins or Zay Jones? And while I think Mac Hollins has some explosive tendencies, the Colts defense has actually been a little bit better than given credit for. I'm not sure what we're going to get in Indianapolis, but it's a very low over-under. I think it's about 41.5 right now on DraftKings. So I want to stay away from that game despite Mac Hollins having some upside. And I'll be honest, guys, I love Zay Jones. Until last week against the Titans, the Chiefs were bleeding points to quarterbacks, to receivers. I think they had allowed 4 straight QB1 games. So I love Trevor Lawrence this week, and I think this is the spot for Zay Jones. He's been pretty consistent as of late. He's got a really nice floor, so I'm willing to throw Zay Jones out there, hoping we hit a ceiling game. How do you feel about it, Nate?
I'm with you. The thing about Mac Hollins and what he's going to do is that he needs a boom play to be relevant this week because Foster Moreau is going to kind of take over that middle of the field work, which is where Carr really does most of his passing work. Zay Jones, though, like you said, Seth, Kansas City has had a hard time with quarterbacks and wide receivers. Trevor Lawrence can huck the ball, and if Jacksonville wants to win, they're going to have to huck the ball, and I think Jones is going to be heavily involved in this game script. Yeah,
I absolutely agree with you, Nate, and something to keep in mind, too, they just traded Fenton, one of their best cornerbacks at the deadline, and now Ladarius Sneed, he is their top corner. He is on the injury report. He might not practice, and it was one of those situations where he practiced Wednesday and then only practices in limited fashion yesterday. So pay attention to those practice reports. Trash, with all this being said, are you with us on Zay Jones here, or are you taking Mac Hollins?
I'm going to go Mac Hollins. I do like the Zay Jones start, and I don't think it's a bad one, but Hollins with Waller out and Renfro out, I think he could have that boom game because he does need a boom to really make any impact for your team, but I think he could easily do that this week. Maybe not
Okay.
easily. There's a possibility.
Okay. And you got some people agreeing with you here. You got Dave who's saying he likes Singletary, but Hollins, he likes Hollins for him. And then Mr. Scamper's saying he likes Devin Singletary and Mac Hollins as well. So some little agreements there.
You
Looks
all are
like
crazy.
yeah, absolutely. And then we got a new face in the chat here, the Tootsie Pop 6. What's up, Tootsie Pop? Thanks for joining us today. Hope you subscribe to the channel. Come back and hang out with us again. And we got some more questions here. Dave, never feel like you're asking us too many questions. We love them. Keep them coming, buddy. Taysom Hill, or that's not a real name, right?
No. Oh, Schmason Schmill.
Okay.
Come on, Seth. Where did you grow up?
Taysom Hill or Schmation Schmill. I'll tell you what, I love Taysom Hill all season. He freaking burned me last week. I needed about 3 points from him Monday night to win, and it's just unpredictable. I mean, you could get the 30 burger we got earlier, but I mean, you can also get where he was last week. He throws a couple passes, runs 5 yards. Trash, just in general, how do you feel about Taysom Hill? Because I know a lot of our staff has been never play Taysom Hill type of people.
Taysom Hill in best ball is great. Taysom Hill in any format is scary.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Let's go ahead into this next question here from the Tootsie Pop 6. Flex Max Hollins or DeAndre Carter, excuse me. Mac Hollins or DeAndre Carter. We just talked about Mac Hollins. Obviously, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller on IR, so it's going to open up some more targets. But Mac Hollins has already kind of been in that number 2 role most of this season. I don't like the matchup as much as TS does. How do you feel about Carter here? No Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's aggravated his injury again, going up against the 49ers on Sunday Night Football, TS.
No, I go DeAndre Carter here. I think he's has a much better opportunity because, he is going to take on that lead role most likely. Unless, with Williams and probably Allen out, seems like a better matchup for me.
Okay. Nate, are you willing to take Mac Hollins in this matchup against Carter?
No, I want Carter. It's a better offense. He's going to have more opportunities. He had 6 targets last week. I think he continues to see that. And if he can get a touchdown like he did in week 1, he's a much better play than Hollins.
Okay. Absolutely. Appreciate that question there from the Tootsie Pop. Looks like we have another one here from Mr. Scampers. What's up, Mr. Scampers? Good to see you on this glorious Friday. Do you like Jeff Wilson versus Cleveland or Christian Kirk at Kansas City, half-point PPR? I appreciate hearing that half-point PPR. That changes things a little bit for me. I do love Christian Kirk this week, guys. As I just said, we kind of went on this little Jacksonville rant. TS, how do you feel about it? I also love Jeff Wilson. He's the image on this thumbnail for a reason. He's my running back start of the week. How do you split the difference here? Great options.
I'd probably go Christian Kirk. With Jeff Wilson being newer on the team, I think he needs a little bit more time to settle in to kind of know where he slots in, but I don't think he's a bad call, but I would lean Christian Kirk here. I don't hate the Jaguars. I'm not saying that.
No Jaguars hate from TS. How about you, Nate? Where are you going on this one?
I'm leaning Kirk because of the matchup. I just think it's a better matchup. I think there's a higher boom potential for Kirk this week, though I do like Wilson against Cleveland. I think he might see a little bit less usage than Mostert. Just a gut.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. Guys, I do love Jeff Wilson, and I think if there's a way you can get both these guys in your lineup, I would not mind it at all, Scampers. A couple things here just about the matchup for Jeff Wilson. I'm in agreement. I would go Kirk because I think floor is a little safer, a little bit higher of a ceiling. But before this last week when the Bengals ran the ball just 10 times on the Browns for 36 yards on Halloween night, that was the last time we saw the Browns play, they had allowed 3 straight games of 233 yards and 2 rushing TDs per game. We saw a lot of good running backs go off against them. So I think it's a glorious matchup for Jeff Wilson. I'm trying to get both these guys in my lineup, but if I have to pick one, it is Christian Kirk. Here we got a guy, Sven, in the house. What's up, Sven? Good to see you today, man. Hope you're having a great Friday down there in the Lone Star State. We got Eric, new face in the chat. Eric, what's up, Eric? Hope you're having a great feel good Friday. Appreciate you making us a part of it. Pick one for flex here. Pittman, Terry McLaurin, or Gabe Davis. Some really enticing options here. Trash sandwiches. Where do you go?
I think, oh God. Come back to me. Give me a second.
Okay. Nate, how do you feel about it? Michael Pittman, we kind of have touched all week about this Colts offense. It's in that Raiders matchup, which I don't like the over-under, so I am trying to avoid it. Gabe Davis, though, it's kind of depending on Josh Allen for me, Nate. I don't think if Josh Allen's out, I don't want to scream the name Gabe Davis from the top of the rooftops like normally. And Terry McLaurin's been real solid, but he does have Darius Slay, so there's like contradictions in all these plays here, Nate.
Well, so you touched on everything I was going to touch on. I think so. Who are you least concerned about their production being dinged? I think it has to be Gabe Davis, because if Darius Slay has been a beast, and we've got Taylor Heineke at quarterback. While I like him more than Carson Wentz, he's still the Commanders' quarterback, and it's still Taylor Heineke. I kind of have to. I think you have to go Gabe Davis, even if it's Case Keenum. They're not going to change their game script with Case Keenum because Case Keenum is more than capable. Plus, Stephon, I think Gabe Davis is fine this week.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Trash Sandwiches? Obviously, a little bit of a revenge game for Case Keenum if he's out there with Stephon Diggs, little Minneapolis miracle. Is that enough for you to also like Gabe Davis in this against the Vikings?
I don't know. I mean, Nate, you mentioned the safety or like who's more stable in this, and I actually might lean Terry on this one. I agree Heineke is nothing special, but I think if it's Josh Allen, I'd lean Gabe Davis. If it's Case Keenum, I'd lean Terry.
I'm in agreement with you there, Trash Sandwiches. And the one thing I will say, if you need a floor, I like Terry a little bit more. I don't think he's going to have a boom game with Darius Slay in coverage. But if you need Gabe Davis to go off for 25 points, if you need someone in that range, it's Gabe Davis. But if you want to play it safe, for me, it's Terry McLaurin as well. Michael Pittman, guys, he's dead to me. So I don't think we need to really get him off your rosters now if you can. It would be my advice.
Unless they bring Matt Ryan back.
Yeah.
I think Saturday's smart enough to probably see Ellinger for one game. And
I'm over the Sam Ellinger experience here. Here we got Dave asking a question again. He's got PPR, Noah Fant, or Latavius Murray. It's a crowded backfield up there for your Denver Broncos, Nate. They have the Titans this week, but Latavius is one of three heads now with Chase Edmonds added to the mix. Can you trust him, or are you going with the ex-Bronco, Noah Fant here in Seattle, traveling over there to Munich, Germany on a Sunday morning?
You know, Fant's seeing a little bit more involvement in the offense as of late. His snap share has been significantly higher than it was earlier in the season. I think I'm going to lean Fant here, even against Tampa Bay, because I think Geno Smith is starting to build a rapport with him. It's another option for Geno Smith while they're running the ball a lot. Fant's getting more open on a lot of the play action because they're running so well. And like you said, Latavius Murray, who's going to get the carries every week in Denver? We don't know. We probably won't know rest of season. This week could be Melvin Gordon.
Okay. So, Trash, how are you feeling about this one? Nate's going with the Seahawk here in Noah Fant. This is like a deep dive. This really is a deep dive, but how do you feel about it?
I agree with Fant. I think the Denver Broncos, for one, you have a question mark around who is actually leading the backfield this week or on any given play. And I think that's going to be a much tougher matchup for them against Tennessee. And it seems like Seattle or rather Tampa has not been good against tight ends. And I think that opens up a lot of opportunity for Fant, even if it could go Will Dissly, but I think both of them will have enough involvement to be solid.
I came into this question thinking maybe I would go the opposite direction of you guys, Latavius Murray, but you've convinced me. I think Noah Fant is the safer play here. Latavius Murray could literally drop a donut or get you 1 or 2 points here. I think Fant has a little bit safer of a floor. I think Murray still might have that ceiling because there is a chance he comes out, gets 15, 16 touches as he has the last couple of weeks, gets in the end zone. But I don't want to bank on that. I don't want to play Denver Broncos right now. I think we've been saying that for a long time here, Nate.
Imagine being a Denver Broncos fan and you're starting the season with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. This is going to be so great. And now we've got Latavius Murray and Chase Edmonds.
Yes.
It makes me want to cry when I think about it. So.
Yep.
We won't judge.
If I go off camera, you know why.
I completely understand. I'm a Steelers fan. It's been also kind of a heartbreaking season here. Trash, do you have a favorite team? Do you have one team you root for being up in Vermont? Are you a Patriots fan?
Oh God, no, not Patriots. I lean Bills.
Okay.
Definitely not Patriots. I have like a few teams that I like more than others. If I had to pick one, it's probably the Bills.
Okay. Hey, that makes sense. Like you're not that how far are you from Buffalo?
Like 8 hours.
Okay. Oh, still a little bit of a hike, but probably
bit
one
of
of
a
your
hike.
closer NFL stadiums.
Yeah. I mean, after New York City and Patriots, and it's just never Patriots.
Okay. We got Big Trev back here in the chat. He said, so you guys said Gallup. Who would you choose between Donovan Peoples-Jones, Thielen, Gallup, Singletary, bench one, PPR? Ooh, that is tough, man. I'm a little scared of Adam Thielen right now. I have been all season with TJ Hawkinson addition. It makes it a really cloudy situation here. To me, Trash, it's definitely between Thielen and Singletary, probably who I'm considering benching. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'll be honest. I've always liked him. He's been super solid, really safe floor. How do you feel about it?
Easily bench Thielen. I think his role is only decreasing right now. He's getting old. I don't think he's got it anymore.
Ooh, some shots fired at Adam Thielen, the grizzled vet.
He can still rip off some big plays, get some touchdowns, which he's great at, but hasn't been great. It's not getting any better.
I think how I would probably go about this, Nate, it's tough though, because like I feel like if Josh Allen's out, I almost want to play Devin Singletary more because I think they'll use him, especially in the red zone more. However, then so I think if Josh Allen's out, I'm going Singletary. If Josh Allen's in, I almost kind of want to chase the points in this game with Adam Thielen. How do you feel about it, Nate?
I'm with you 100%. I think Adam Thielen will get a touchdown in this game.
Because of the volume that you're predicting Kirk Cousins is going to have to throw if Josh Allen's in?
Yes, I wrote about this in an article that is coming out tomorrow on Fantasy Pros, but I'm big on Hawkinson this week too. They're going to have to throw the ball to stay in this game. They're going to have to score early. They're going to have to score often, whether or not Josh Allen is in, because this offense is still going to be potent. Justin Jefferson is going to have a big day. TJ Hawkinson is going to have a big day, and Adam Thielen is going to have a big day.
Okay. Yeah, so I think final answer for you here, Trev, that we've kind of come to agreement on, at least Nate and I have. I think TS might be a little bit of an outlier here, but we would go ahead and we would be comfortable benching Adam Thielen if there is no Josh Allen, and then starting Adam Thielen over Singletary if there is Josh Allen. So love that question there. Here we got an update from Sven. Kyler, a true game time decision. Appreciate that update there. And then Big Trev asking Heineke if Kyler doesn't play. I don't love Heineke this week as much as I have in the past too, but he has been a quarterback one these first couple starts for him. Trash, how do you feel about rolling out Heineke, or would you be looking for another option maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who else is available, but I don't think Heineke is a bad play here.
Okay. Yep. I would love to see what your other options are. Maybe if there's a Trevor Lawrence out there, I would consider him. I think Heineke, to me, Nate, I kind of see him as like a mid-tier QB2, somewhere in that 15 to 18 range here in week 10.
Philly's defense is just really good. It's hard to want to start anybody against them at this point.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Keep the questions coming, guys. We'll answer a couple more here with Trash Sandwiches before we let her go and bring in our next guest. Here we got one from Eric. Swift or Mostert, full PPR. It has been a bumpy ride for DeAndre Swift managers the last couple months here. Trash Sandwiches. Can you trust him even though he just saw a handful of carries last week? Or is it Mostert in that great matchup that I already highlighted against Cleveland?
I agree that Mostert's going to have a good matchup. Detroit is going to have a really good matchup too. And yes, it's been bumpy so far for Swift, but I think if they both have good matchups, I'm going to go talent and I'm going to go Swift.
Okay. Nate, are you rolling with the talent there? Or are you concerned about the workload and going to go Mostert?
No, I'm rolling with the talent. DeAndre Swift, it's hard to want to sit him when he's healthy.
I don't know if he's healthy though. Like, I think that's
he's healthy enough to play. I know Jamal Williams steals
last week though.
I still can't. If it's between Swift and Mostert, I cannot bench Swift for Raheem Mostert.
Okay, I will be the one digressing there because I think I'm a little more conservative at this point in the year. I just want some points and not 0.5 from Taysom Hill again this week. So I would go Mostert, but I understand the analysis there. Great question.
It's okay, Seth. Everybody's wrong sometimes.
Hey, it could be me. It's probably me this week. I've rode the DeAndre Swift game long enough that I don't want to play anymore. But I understand. TS, we appreciate you joining us for questions. If you guys have more questions, keep them coming. We'll answer some with our next guest as well. TS, tell us where we can find you, how we can best support not only your work with In Between Media, but everything else you have going on over in the craft life as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Trash Sandwiches. That's my name. Don't wear it out. You can find my crafting stuff on Twitter at Stellar Makes, and then on other platforms at Making Stellar Things, because Twitter is apparently fussy about character length. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been fun, and yeah, we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Awesome. Well, TS, we always appreciate your service here at IBT Media. Good luck to you the rest of the fantasy football season. Bring home some championships. As for everyone else tuning in, continue to hang out with us. We're going to bring in a great guest right here after this sick drop. But first, want to remind some of the new faces in the chat, please subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this type of content. Let us know. Let us know how we can improve as well, because we're always here to best serve the IBT family. Thank you, TS. We'll see you soon. All right, Nate, and let's go ahead and jump into some sure things, sleepers of the week.
It's the sure thing. Sleepers of the week.
All right, sure thing, sleepers of the week. This is your thing. And to help us do this week, Nate, we're going to bring in a very special guest. He's a writer for the Fantasy Footballers. He's a hilarious human being, one of the best Twitter followers out there. He's a father of 3 and a fan of the good old fullback life, baby. Let's go ahead and bring him in, making his IBT Media debut, Jeff Greenwood. What's up, Jeff?
Jeff.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Friday to hop on with us.
Absolutely. I like the sleepers of the week, the sure thing logo you guys did. That looks nice.
That's
Thank
all
you.
Seth. All
Thank
Seth.
you. No,
he's a genius.
I can't take the credit. I might have came up with the segment a couple years ago, but that's our guy Third making the video. And we have a very special musician friend, Nate Miller Ism, who kind of does all the drops and all the music here. So he is really the backbone of this. But
that's true.
Jeff, I appreciate the compliment. How are the vibes hanging out here on Friday?
Good. Things are good. Yeah, I normally wear contacts. I'm wearing my glasses today to try to get my brain working, try to get a little smart here. But no, things are good. It's a Veterans Day, day off with the kids and everything. So it's good. How about you guys?
Things are good, man. Nate, how are you doing? Do you have Jackson home today?
No, he had school today.
Okay. I don't remember. Jeff, are your kids off school today?
Yeah, they're all off school today. They get Monday off too. I don't know why.
They have a
4-day weekend.
break. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you were enjoying the dad life today. Nate, you got a little bit of a break here in the fantasy football life. But Jeff, we appreciate you joining us today, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where we can find your work in the industry, and what your type of vibe is, Jeff.
Sure. So thanks for the very kind intro, by the way. So I'm a writer for the Fantasy Footballers. I think my proudest achievement in the fantasy world is I got the award from them for the social media unicorn, which is just this silly thing they put together. So that was cool. But I do articles for them. I do trade articles. I do a podcast, Tackle Dummies, with one of my best friends, CCAS. We'll have to have you guys on sometimes. And it is rarely actually about football. We just kind of, talk, hang out, talk a little bit about some of the things going on in the league. But that's a fun listen if you're into just like silly guys talking that have been friends for a while. And I'm all over the Twitter streets. I'm addicted to Twitter. You can find me at the Fantasy Eng. I can't get my hands away from the Twitter button whenever I log on my phone.
Hey, I understand. Sometimes I just have to put my phone on the other side of the room, because Nate, you and I will text all day long if we don't, honestly. That's probably I'm worse at texting Nate than Twitter, honestly, at this point.
Well, the worst thing is I got this new laptop, right? It has this phone link program.
Oh.
So my phone's linked to my computer now. So every time I get a text, I don't even have to I can put my phone on the other side of the room and still have all of my tech right here. I can't escape it.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. I love it. Except when I miss a text from Jen when I'm on a show, then that doesn't really end up going very well for me. But that doesn't happen very often.
Well, Jeff, let's talk a little football, man. We appreciate you joining us here today. Before we jump into our Sure Thing sleepers, we do have a couple more questions spilling in if you have some time for that as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's start here with Trey. Good to see Trey back in the chat today. Evening, ladies and gents. Full PPR, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Palmer. And we just kind of talked about this really nice matchup here that the Chargers might have. No Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams. Josh Palmer's been intriguing as of late, but Jerry Jeudy's also been on the rise coming out of his bye. How do you feel about it, Jeff?
That's a really close one. I tend to lean towards talent in these situations, so I'd probably lean Jeudy, just because I think of in the range of expectations, not that either of them are going to probably have like a 3-touchdown day or something, but out of those two, if there was one that was going to get a multiple touchdown day, I think it would be Jeudy. I love Josh Palmer too. I think with the injuries that you mentioned, Herbert's got to throw the ball somewhere. So I would slightly lean Jeudy myself in that situation.
Okay. Nate, how do you feel about it? Obviously, the Titans are a great matchup for Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a great play this week. But we also have some cornerback issues now. Tre'Davious Ward was the only cornerback warming up today for the Niners that I saw through some of the faithful that I follow over on Twitter. So, Nate, how do you feel about it? Great matchups for both, I think, at this point.
Well, the reason I'm going to lean Jeudy is because the Broncos running back room is crap, and they have a really good run defense in Tennessee. So by default, the Broncos are probably going to have to throw the ball more than they want this week, which makes me really love Jeudy and Greg Dulcich in that offense as well.
Okay. And we have a big Trev here circling back with us. We asked him earlier who the other options were maybe out there because he's afraid Kyler Murray might not play. It looks like it's going to be a true game time decision. Would you wait and have Heineke as your backup option to make sure if Kyler goes, he's in your lineup, Jeff? Or would you be willing to roll out Trevor Lawrence, who I love Trevor Lawrence this week. He's my QB start of the week. I think it's a great matchup here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think Trevor Lawrence has shown some solid play this season. And, as a sophomore QB going against Pat Mahomes, he's going to want to chuck it. So I'm with you. I like Trevor Lawrence here.
Okay. Nate, would you also just roll out Trevor Lawrence kind of regardless of the situation? Even if Kyler's active, he might not be 100%.
We're always searching for the ceiling. We want that quarterback that hits the ceiling. So we're always going to take the risk. And Trevor Lawrence is the best risk at quarterback this week. Could have a boom against Kansas City. Over Russell Wilson and Taylor Heineke, absolutely I'm going to start Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. All right. We got one here from Toronto Dave. PPR, Kareem Hunt or Jerry Jeudy? Man, it's been an up and down season for Kareem Hunt. I think this is an easy slam dunk for Jerry Jeudy. He's got that ceiling. He has the floor. He's been getting the targets lately. How do you feel, Jeff?
So shout out Toronto Dave. Also, I am addicted to Kareem Hunt. I haven't looked at it this week, but he's got I think he's top 5 in red zone rushing attempts. Same thing with 10 zone rushing attempts. So while Nick Chubb obviously gets the majority of the work, I can't quit Kareem Hunt. I think he's a really talented player. So I think in this situation, I'd probably actually go Kareem Hunt just for those red zone touches.
Okay. Nate, how do you feel about this? Jeff, we're also having a little bit of mic issues, kind of cutting in and out right now as well, just so you're aware of that. Nate, how do you feel about it? I think I'm still rolling probably Jerry Jeudy.
I'm definitely going Jeudy. Look, Kareem Hunt he's behind Nick Chubb, and he's not going to see a ton of passing volume as long as Jacoby Brissett's the quarterback. This week, I'm definitely benching Hunt.
Okay, I'm with you. I got to go Jeudy on this one. Got a lot of people in the chats saying, "Hey Jeff, what's up, Jeff? Wanted to throw this out." We got Sven, we got Dave. Everyone's saying that trash sandwiches. Jeff's vibe equals hilarious. Absolutely. Sup unicorn. Shout out tackle dummies. You got a lot of fans, a lot of love here in the chat, guys. Let's go ahead and answer one more question before we jump into some sure things. Sleepers, we got one here from Big Trev. Pick up the Ravens D and drop Broncos rest of season. Ravens have such a favorable schedule, plus the addition of Roquan. I don't mind that at all. The Broncos have had a really nice defense so far this season, Nate, but it gets a little bit tougher. Raiders next week, which I'm not afraid of. And then I think where the Broncos, they're Panthers. So I like both of them, but I'm not opposed to going Ravens here, Nate.
The Ravens defense has gotten better as the season has gone on. They're healthy. I don't hate this move because the Broncos schedule after Carolina, they've got Baltimore, Kansas City, Arizona, the Rams, Kansas City again in Kansas City, week 17 for the championship. It's going to be hard to want to roll them out against Mahomes in week 17 at Arrowhead. I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to drop the Broncos and go with the Ravens rest of season.
How do you feel about it, Jeff? Ravens, I think it's obviously kind of part of their identity now. They have to win with defense and running because they don't have the receiving options they did just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I like the Ravens D too. And sorry that I'm a little choppy, guys. I think my internet isn't the best at the moment. But I think the Ravens D is a good pickup. They've got Carolina, Jacksonville. Jacksonville has actually been tough for fantasy defenses, but then Denver, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Atlanta, Pittsburgh again. I like the Ravens D, and I think that Harbaugh is a great coach where their defense can improve as the season progresses.
Okay, fantastic. Appreciate that analysis there. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into our Sure Thing Sleepers of the Week. I'll be honest, I have no clue who yours is this week. However, you are on a hot streak, man. You have 2 in a row that you've hit. I hit last week as well, so vibes are high. And our guest hit last week, making our guest count now 2. I didn't think a guest had hit. I thought we were in some drought, but Dave pointed out to me he hit back in week 6. So no pressure on you, Jeff. Nate, all the pressure on you this week, my friend. How are you feeling? Go ahead with your Sure Thing Sleeper of the Week. When ready, my friend.
I feel no pressure. I'm not worried.
No pressure.
If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. This is an imperfect science, and I'm okay with it. Jeff, sorry I gave you incorrect information. So we have had one person hit. So maybe you can be number 2 this week.
We have 2. We do have 2.
We have two now. Foster Moreau, Las Vegas Raiders tight end. I don't love that at this point in the season with my teams where I'm looking at him. But then I started to look at the numbers and I feel a little bit better about it because 54.1% of Derek Carr's passing attempts have been in that short intermediate range this season. His 2 primary targets in that short intermediate range are Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow. Both are on IR. We don't see them for at least another 4 weeks. Moreau, when he has played, he has been all over the middle of the field. That's where the majority of his targets have been as well. With both of those guys out, I think Moreau's just going to be the guy who works the middle of the field. You've got Adams who can stretch it, and he's going to run some of those deeper routes, and he comes across the middle as well. But Moreau's actually been pretty good with Renfrow still in. He's still, I think it was 19 targets. 11 of those 19 targets over the last 3 games have been in that short and intermediate range, mostly in the middle of the field. He fills a role for this team that they need filled for the next 4 weeks. They've been awful, but they've got to try and McDaniels has got to do something with this season to not get fired. We know how the Davis family is. They will axe someone if it's not working. And against the Colts, I think this is a good matchup for him. They're just a run-heavy team. Even with Josh Jacobs, they're running less than 40% of the time. They're going to continue with the pass-heavy script. And I think Moreau just simply works the middle of the field. It's going to be dink and dunk for Carr with Moreau. He's pretty good a yard after the catch as well. I could see him having 5-6 catches. And if that equates to 40, 50 yards, we're talking 10 points, and that might make him a tight end 1 tier for week 10.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely had 1 reception last week, and he was a tight end 1. The tight end collector, Nate Polvo, he strikes again, bringing you another Sure Thing Sleeper of the Week. Jeff, are you going to bring us a tight end as well, my friend, or who is your Sure Thing Sleeper of the Week?
So I don't have a tight end. I love Foster Moreau. I think that he's a good player, and I think that's a great pick. Had I thought of him, I would have used him as my Sure Thing of the Week. My player that I'm picking is rostered in 40% of leagues on Sleeper. It's Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's yet to score a touchdown. They're going up against the Miami defense, who've allowed the 8th most points. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is 9th in contested catches in the league. I think he's a talented player. And I'm just, again, like you said, Nate, it's not a perfect science. I think this could be the week that Donovan Peoples-Jones gets his first touchdown of the season.
We have been all over DPJ this season, so I love this call, Jeff. I think he was actually a sleeper a couple weeks ago that someone else mentioned. And I don't know if he hit 10 points that week, but I love it, man. I think Donovan's Peoples-Jones, he's got to get in the end zone. Like, I'm all about regression, and like positive TD regression is coming Donovan Peoples-Jones' way. So I'm about it, man. I think he has a little bit nice of a connection there with Jacoby as well.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you.
Absolutely.
DPJ, he's a great player. Especially in deep leagues, he's a fun player to put out there if you have a really, really big roster. And yeah, I love rooting for that guy.
Yeah, we even talked about it on the podcast this week. He was going into waivers this week. I think only 12% rostered in ESPN leagues. He needs to be on more rosters. I wish I had him on more rosters. I was going to pick him up in my favorite league a couple weeks ago, and I had someone actually listen to the podcast, me talking about him. I think maybe this was week 6 or so, and he went and snaked him from me for a higher bid. So I appreciated that. DPJ, love that call. We'll tie up a couple more questions here before I roll into my sure thing sleeper of the week. And Eric's just saying, how do you guys feel about a starting lineup this week? T-Law, Eckler, Swift, Amon-Ra, Kirk, Gabe Davis, Pat Fryermuth, and Daniel Carlson, in addition to Colts defense. Nate, I love this starting lineup here. I think there's a lot of upside. I'm a little worried about some of these plays like Swift or Gabe Davis could backfire, but I think you have really safe floors with Travis or Trevor Lawrence, Amon-Ra, and Kirk that I'm okay with it.
If you can find another defense on waivers, I might look to maybe do that. But I'm a defensive streamer. I swear I play a different defense every week. But otherwise, it's a pretty loaded lineup for week 10. I don't hate it. I wouldn't mind. I wish I could roll this out in some of my leagues.
How do you feel about it, Jeff? Obviously, that Colts defense, as Nate alluded to, going up against the Raiders, low over under. I'm not too afraid of it, but we could see maybe Derek Carr go off for once this season. He hasn't yet.
Yeah, so I think the lineup's pretty good. It's nice to have Swift as your RB2. Like you said, Nate, like I'm addicted to Swift as well. Like it's really hard to not play him if he's active. It makes me feel a lot better in his lineup when you have Eckler, the RB1, in that RB1 role.
Okay,
yep.
Awesome. And then just to kind of tie this up here with Big Trev, so you guys are saying put T-Law in no matter what Kyler's status is. I would. That is my play. I think that's Nate's recommendation and Jeff's as well. It sucks to bench your QB1. I get it. But Trevor Lawrence is a borderline quarterback 1. He's been a QB1 in 5 and 9 weeks this season as well. So I think he's a very safe play for you, Big Trev. I do not think he's going to fumble the bag this week. So I will go ahead and move forward with my sure thing sleep of the week to round us out. And this is going to go against 2 things that I absolutely hate in this world. And 1, it's the 2022 Chicago Bears. And 2, it's Chase freaking Claypool. But baby, we're doing it. It is risky. Like it's always a little risky to start a receiver early in a new tenure with a new quarterback. But Justin Fields is hot right now, and I cannot deny that any longer. Claypool, he saw 6 targets, 1 rushing attempt, ran just 16 routes last week. So it was targeted on almost like half his routes. It was an insane number. Played just 35% of the snaps. And what I love that Chicago's doing with Chase Claypool this week, guys, or the season now that he's over there, is they're playing him on the outside. Like that is where Chase Claypool should have been played this entire time. I get why the Steelers put him in the slot this season because of George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. However, this is going to create some high value, high leverage targets for Chase Claypool. No matter what way you're looking at it, this defense for the Lions has been bad against wide receivers, whether you're looking at season long, the last 2 weeks, the last month. But they've particularly been really bad, guys, against the bigger bodied wide receivers. DK Metcalf, week 5 goes off. A.J. Brown, week 1, had a day. And then last week, Allen Lazard even had a really nice day against him as well. Kind of fits that profile of a Chase Claypool. I think there's a chance that Chase Claypool explodes this week. I don't know what the floor is, but it is a scary floor, but I'm willing to risk it this week. How do you feel about it, Jeff?
I actually almost picked Claypool as my as my guy for the segment. I love that. I love that a lot. And again, like I go back to talent. I really like him as a talented player. And there's a storyline that makes sense of him emerging, especially like you said, against the Lions. And good point. I didn't realize that the big body receiver angle as well, but that definitely works in his favor too.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. We got Dave in the chat. Shout out Mapletron. Dave saying the sneaky girls approve. All right, let's go, baby. And then Dave bringing back the old Cole Kmet. Hey, man, I'm not on it yet. I got people, Jeff, I've been a Cole Kmet hater for a long time. So I was in my glory early in the season. I'm not buying it yet. We'll see what happens here.
We literally named a group chat he was in Cole Kmet Club just to piss him off. Hey. It was glorious. And it worked.
I love it.
It is what it is. Guys, I appreciate all the awesome people in the chat today, all the awesome questions that we've been able to get through, all the great comments and feedback on the show. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you guys are new to the show, please subscribe to the channel. Whether you listen to this on YouTube, we also are out on all the audio platforms as well, Apple, Spotify, you name it. Jeff, before we round things out, man, how can we best support you through the remainder of the 2022 fantasy football season, my friend?
I would say tweet at CCAS, CCAS44, and tell him that he sucks. Because he's my co-host. And every time we play each other in fantasy, he beats me. Like, I swear to God, it's like 20 times in a row. And like, I've won the league like 2 out of the last 3 years. I do pretty well in that league, and he beats me every time. That would make me happy. I love CCAS, but tell him to suck it.
All right. You guys heard the man. Go over to Twitter, tweet at CCAS, tell him he sucks, and follow Jeff on Twitter as well, at the Fantasy End. You will not regret it. Nate, any final thoughts for you as we wrap up this awesome Veteran Day program here?
Well, Jeff, I would like you to know, I think I played him 2 weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure that I whooped him pretty good. My final thoughts, guys, please go follow Jeff. He is seriously, like, he's been one of my favorite follows on Twitter for probably close to 3 years at this point. Fantastic content. He'll make you laugh. Check out In Between Media, obviously. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Absolutely.
Happy Friday.
Absolutely. Final thoughts from me on this awesome Veterans Day. And I wrote a column yesterday about some veterans in this fantasy football community. And the one thing that stuck out to me is I've always found it hard to understand how someone could sacrifice so much for us and so many millions of people they've never met. And I condemn them for doing that. And the thing I learned was maybe we will never understand the true sacrifice these people make for our nation, but let's be there to support them the best we can. And so whether it's tomorrow, today, any year, any day this year or future years, please support your guys as veterans, help the transition back to civilian life be as easy as it can be. Thank you to all those who serve, all those who continue to serve, and all those who will serve in the future. Have a great weekend, everyone. Good luck here in week 10. Nate, you and I will be back on Tuesday. Until then, guys, keep it in between. Thank you. Your destination for both some feel-good lifestyle advice and some fantasy football advice